Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the Relli Good podcast. I'm your host, Ali. Today I'm joined with Jacob Diamond. Jacob, nice to have you with us.
Thank you,
Uh,
Ali. I appreciate you having me.
of course. So you're a realtor in the LA area, right?
You
You know where
got it. Been in real estate for a little over 5 years now. I've grown up in the Valley for 23, 24 years, coming up to 24 years now. Uh, Love every minute of my job, helping my clients, looking at homes, driving around. It's amazing.
Well, why'd you get into real estate? I mean, I feel like it's a oversaturated market right now to get, like, for realtors per se. Give me your story. What inspired you?
That is kind of true. Funny enough, it was actually my mom who gave me the idea of real estate. I was in college, started off as an accounting major. I was working the back end of an office supply company doing accounts payables and receivables. And honestly, I just did not enjoy sitting behind a desk all day long.
Tell me about it.
And I'm like, okay, I'll shift to this. My other part time job was teaching at a Hebrew school. So, I switched my major to Jewish studies, thinking, oh, I'll go be a rabbi and be a teacher.
Rabbi Diamond.
And yeah, Rabbi Diamond. And, I was teaching and I was about to apply to rabbinical schools. And then I had this 1 year of students that, really tested me as a teacher. And, I found out it probably wasn't going to be for me.
Oh, that's funny.
So my mom gave me the idea of real estate. Go take a real estate course. And, you know, I liked the information I was learning there. I liked that I wasn't going to be stuck behind a desk all day. I still get to interact with people on the daily. And I haven't looked back ever since.
That's a crazy switch from potentially becoming a rabbi, an accountant, all of a sudden to real estate. I see the thing with accounting and real estate, but rabbi and real estate, so
Hey,
crazy.
look. Everybody's got to buy a home, and it's look, I am Jewish. I don't hide that, and
Good.
I thought, I loved working with kids and teaching.
Yeah,
Um, I still, on the side tutor in my community, so I
yeah,
haven't given that up completely. Um,
that's
so,
awesome, man. That's
but
awesome.
as a full time thing, it just wasn't gonna be for me.
Awesome, dude. Well, good stuff. So what? Give us some market insights right now. Like, what are some current trends you're seeing in the local real estate market?
Current trends, a lot of people, end users in particular, are
Yeah,
no longer taking on the big projects. You know, During COVID and a little after, with the low interest rates, people had a little bit more cash on hand, or, the financial stability to take on a full remodel of a home if it came up for sale. Now, with how interest rates have, they skyrocketed into the eights, but now they're settling in the 6 to 6.5 range. People are only going for turnkey, unless you're a developer or have that excess cash and willing to take on a project. Because at the end of the day, when you're doing a kitchen remodel, bathrooms, the works, you're taking on a second job as a general contractor and foreman in a sense to make sure everything, stays on track.
yeah. Even myself, I kind of noticed when you're selling when you're selling a property or whatnot. Like, if it's not like a total fixer upper, if it's like in that in between of a turnkey and a fixer upper,
Yeah.
those are very hard to sell. Because they still want the same kind of discount as a total fixer upper, right? But then they also like it just doesn't work out.
But
Like
the
the
but the seller knows it's clean and turnkey and you
yeah,
can move in and start using it right
yeah.
away.
But then the buyer's like, yeah, but it's not turnkey. I'm gonna have to redo the kitchen. Yeah, but you don't. No, but I will do it. So and so like the doctors, the lawyers, the people that have like heavy duty jobs, they don't typically want to deal with it. And if they do want to deal with it, they really want a nice discount to pay for that expense that they're going to have to take on, right? Uh,
Exactly.
it's just not as easy as what I also learned myself in those kind of situations.
No, it's not. I mean, honestly, it's a little bit of game theory right here. The less a buyer has to do to buy a home, the more they're going to spend. And a seller needs to also understand that too. You can have a very desirable property, but it needs a total gut job, and you need, probably $100,000 to $200,000 worth of work. You're already diminishing your buyer pool just by the amount of extra work a buyer has to do if this isn't their, normal real estate flip job.
Oh yeah, I mean, and then I think I think we'll both probably tell our viewers, any sellers that are looking to sell their property right now, make sure you. I typically like to get an inspection report beforehand, so that we can see it. You see all the deficiencies, and you'll plan for it beforehand. You can even, you have a buyer on hand. You can show it to them. It will save you headaches in the long run. What do you think, Jacob?
Oh, I 100%. You can have your general home inspection, which, they go through the house, they look under the cupboards to see if there are any leaks and this and that. But it's also, they don't do, a whole comprehensive, under the hood look. What I really do recommend is, if you're about to sell a single family home in particular, go call your local plumber or sewer guy and check the sewer line, because that is where I see the biggest credits and or deal killers in, real estate.
And from what I've
Because
heard, you love to go after some credits, don't you, Jacob?
on my buyers, I do. Hey, look, I'm not doing my job if I don't, try and squeeze every penny I can for my buyers. And likewise for my seller, I'm not doing my job if I'm not holding the line at that price for as much as possible. It's a give and take. Yeah, I work both sides, in different deals all the time. So, oh, I'm ruthless here or I'm the savior here, depending on how you view the buyer seller dynamic. But this, back to my original point, the sewer, it's something you don't see. You don't know what's, hidden under there. And depending on where the damage is in the sewer depends on if you're going to have to pull a regular permit or pull a city permit. Because once you reach, the connection between your line and the city line, that's still your responsibility, and you're going to have to pull a city permit to get that fixed.
Yep, those hidden ones that you don't see, you don't even think about. Those are the ones that the agents will go after. For example, like what Jacob said, the plumbing, I think roofing, um, AC, like
Well,
those.
AC is harder because, in general, if the AC is working, it may be 30, 40 years old, but if the AC is working, you can kind of tell your buyer to pound sand because, look, it's working. You're going to have a home warranty. Home warranties, everyone has their own opinion of home warranties. We don't need to get into that one. But if it's working at the time of inspection and then you call your home warranty, they should do something in theory, but then again, that's your own problem. But an AC, if it's working, that one is harder to negotiate.
No, I get that, but it's just like it's an easier sell if it's in a nicer condition.
100%.
Uh, um. All right. Well, do you have any? What are your thoughts on the supply and demand right now? Also, like, it's also an election year, so give us also your like thoughts how this year is gonna look.
I'm thinking that, with the interest rates starting to trickle down again, we're going to see a very, hot spring. Right now we're in the time where people are, oh, am I going to do it this summer? Am I not? The kids, they're still in school. Do we want to do it while we're in school? Should we wait till the spring? And, any chance to boost an economy in election year, they'll most likely take advantage of that. So, interest rates are already going down. They're in the 6 to 6.5. I have an escrow right now where my first time buyer with Chase on a condo is actually at a 6.125, which is very good for the market right now.
No, that's great.
Um, and he's even doing that with adding on PMI. So it's, he'll refi out of that later in 6 months when it drops. But yeah, I think it's going to be a very beneficial to sellers and buyers come spring. Sellers, because look, there's still no inventory. We're still at an all-time low. So once you bring something on, 1,000 odds are going to be on it. Buyers, you need to start buying now. I would say start buying now instead of waiting, because once interest rates lower, even more people can afford a home. So you're literally making the buyer pool bigger and creating more competition for yourself.
Yeah, I'm glad you said that because like all the other realtors like I know, I follow, everyone is just like preaching, yo, buy right now. If you're in the market to buy, don't wait for the rates to drop. It's not going to help you. Everyone's saying once that happens and the rates drop, yeah, your property prices are just going to go up.
Exactly. Whether you're an end user or even an investor, you're an investor saying, oh, my margin's too small right now with the comps. Well, okay, we'll look at it this way. The interest rates are 6, and you're buying it at this. Okay, in 6 months to a year, depending on how long your project's going to take, where do you see the interest rates going? Oh, I see them going down. Okay, well, if interest rates are going down, what does that mean? Oh, people can afford more, because the lower the interest rate, the more higher loan you can get. So if your profit window is X now and could be potentially Y bigger 6 months to a year from now, why not buy now and see the profit on the back end?
Well, my personal opinion on the matter, my own strategy is I don't ever take a look at what the interest rate is. I will typically buy if there's a property I really like. There's something, if I see value in it, whether it's my end user or an investment property. If I like it, I'm going to buy it, whether it's at a 6 something, 8, 10, 12, whatever. And then
Yeah,
I'll refi out of it. You can always
exactly.
get out of
You'll
that.
refi out of it. But I would also say it's like, I'm also hitting all those very numbers oriented people. Oh, it doesn't make sense. Well, okay, fine. It doesn't make sense, today, but where do you see the market 6 months to a year from now?
Right. No, for sure. And then, yeah, if you have the means and method to afford that current rate, my opinion, go for it. You can always refi it down.
Exactly. Always refi. Look, there's a little saying, you marry the home, but you date your rate. You can
Uh,
always dump that rate for a new one.
oh, I love that. Good for you. I love that. That's the first time I've heard that.
You heard it here first. Date your rates. You can always dump them for a shinier, smaller interest rate later.
Well, I believe there's always first time home buyers coming into the market. Even in my own group of friends, whatnot. They're looking for their first home, whatever. What's like a tip you can give to these first time home buyers out there?
The first tip I always recommend to these first time buyers is go speak to a lender. Honestly, they are the ones who are gonna dig into your W-2s, your taxes, your 1099s, whatever your finances are. Oh, you're gonna have a promotion in 3 months. Okay, great. They're gonna really dig into the finances and check your debt to income ratio and tell you exactly what you can afford. Whether it's gonna be that $700,000 to $800,000 townhome, or it's gonna be that $900,000 to $1.1 million single family home. Until you speak to the lender, you may have a roughly idea of what you can afford monthly, but the lender, they'll also give you different loan products that aren't just the regular 30-year fixed.
Yeah.
You can look at an interest only arm and lower your payment, and then when rates are lower, refi into that 30-year fixed. So there are multiple ways to skin a cat, and when you talk with the lender and see what different loan products they have, you can see based off that loan product what you could afford.
Oh, you got to skin the cat.
You got to skin a cat.
No, why? I love a good cat. Why you got to skin the cat?
Why you got to skin the cat? Because hey, don't just skin the cat for skin the cat's sake. But yes, there are 1,000 ways to skin a cat.
uh, uh, tell me about give me an area. What's hot right now in the valley, in this LA Valley market? Give us a couple of like what's the area that people are looking into, up and coming?
Up and coming areas. All right, so everyone knows south of the Boulevard, Encino, Sherman Oaks, City City. But the hot areas that I've seen come up, in the last year is the Lake Balboa area and the Winnetka area. They
Oh,
are
interesting.
both.
Why
Sorry.
Winnetka?
Winnetka is honestly great. You have great pockets of neighborhoods in here. You are close by to a community college in Pierce. So if you're an investor, you have potentially college students who want to move out of their house but are going to community college. So you have them rent out. You're near the Topanga Village, which has been revamped beyond belief. You're gonna have the Rams facility moving in there, in the short while, and you're central to the 101, so you can get to the beach in half an hour. You can get to the city depending on traffic, who knows, and then you can get to nightlife on Ventura.
Well, I saw the pop up a Starbucks a few years back on the corner. I was like, oh, there we go, the Starbucks
Exactly.
theory.
And the reason why Ali brings up Starbucks is because Starbucks does a ton of market research, and they are only going to drop a location in an up and coming neighborhood. So if you see a neighborhood that's been a little shaky and a Starbucks drops in there, give it 2 to 3 years, it's going to turn over.
100%. And then I just noticed that they have like these like nice vintage shops popping up, these little mom and pop coffee shops. Like I thought I was like in a little Long Beach town. All of a sudden, I'm like, what's going on here?
No, honestly, it's a great little pocket in the center of the valley. Yeah, it'll get a little hot. All right, LA, weather, valley, hot. It's going to be that way. But it's still a very affordable pocket of homes where, they're maxing out at around, 111, depending on, the features of the property.
I personally don't mind the heat at all. I'd prefer it right now. Have a nice sunny day today over any winter storm. Let me tell you.
It wasn't that bad, but hey, look, with the rains in California, you're getting a free roof inspection.
If we get rain,
We had a couple. We had
know
a little bit of
we had a
storm.
good, yeah. Oh gosh. All right. Well, what tell me, is there any industry like any industries or developments in our area out here that like increase the demand or change the demand in real estate right now?
When we went through that writer strike in Los Angeles, that definitely, halted a little bit of real estate. With the entertainment world, especially in LA, that drives a lot of the real estate market here because there are thousands of employees, whether it comes to the writers, the directors, the costume people, the runners, whatever it is, the lighting guys, sound effect guys. When we had that strike, yeah, we definitely had a slower period along with the higher interest rates. Those two coupled together really slowed down the market here in Los Angeles. So I'd say the entertainment world really does drive the market here, just like how in the 70s and 80s, Rocketdyne and all the JPL kind of drove the market here. So and
Well, you
then
mentioned the Rams also coming out here. So like, what do you think that's gonna do?
I honestly think that's gonna make the Woodland Hills, West Hills, again Winnetka, really pop, because you're gonna have all the players, the coaches, the assistants, everybody, probably live closer to the practice facility than you are the actual stadium. I mean, look, Cooper Kupp was living in, North Ranch gated community in Westlake Village. So, these athletes and, executives, they're not going to mind, driving to the stadium. So, but the practice facility here in the Valley, you get more space, land. It's going to drive the market.
Nice. Okay, well then that's good to know. That's very good to know. Also, I saw in Winnetka that old of not Northridge, the Winnetka Theater, because now it's not a theater anymore. But I heard that I've heard that they might do a whole development in that area too, and like that's supposed to be its own little like hangout area. Have you heard anything about that?
No, I haven't fully looked into that one. Um, I was more focused on the bigger, sooner development of the Rams and Topanga Village just being revamped. But no, I think again that's great to revamp it because honestly, it's a staple right there. It was around the corner from one of the homes I just sold in the Winnetka area. Um, we had like 20 plus offers on this property. Um, they were all developers, but it was one of those fixers people. It needed a whole gut job. Someone spoken there for 40 plus years, so we'll leave it at that. But that neighborhood, you saw people walking with their dogs, kids playing in their yards. Winnetka, every little bit of land that's in the valley is so valuable that at the end of the day, everything will turn over. And Winnetka, which at one point was not a popular location, is now very popular.
Okay, well that's good to know. Well, also I heard so the area CD12, the region that our councilman John Lee handles, right? So that's like
Mm-hmm.
Hills, Granada Hills, Porter Ranch, West Hills, anyways, those areas. So the first, so basically 118 runs through there, and they're
Yes.
saying the exits. I think he just passed something where he's gonna be able to put cameras at the exits that are gonna read license plates, and it's gonna alert the local PD if there's stolen plates, there are if the person has certain warrants for arrest, whatever, it'll notify the PD that that thing is happening. So it's a lot of people are liking it in the area because they're like, okay, well, this will help the break-ins. This will make them feel more comfortable that LAPD will know what's going on and maybe have maybe a couple more officers in that area, and handle situations. What are your thoughts on that? Is that something that might help? You think that's gonna give me your thoughts on that?
You know, cameras, you know, they're a very tricky thing. You know, it's you can catch somebody on camera, but unless it's a great idea. I'm all for trying to deter and make places safer. That's 100%. People's safety is 100% the most important thing. But with the cameras, kind of like the red light cameras, that one fine. You run a red light, you were able to take the license plate and send a ticket. Boom, done. And then that system kind of died here in the valley. But unless you're going to be putting cameras further out than just the freeway exits, you know,
Well, the
is
point is they want to catch anybody that's not from the area, right? They want to see like because if you're up to no good, chances are you'll have stolen plate on your car. You'll have
no 100%. Look, and keeping track of it is great, but the actual potential deterrence and or catching of that person, once they pass that camera, I think the odds go down. But unless you have someone who's literally just chilling there, at the freeway exit, and it's monitoring the scanned plates, and then like, oh, whoop, ding, whoop, 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 pull over. It's tricky. But look, I'm all for safety and deterrence. So like,
and
bring the
I'm kind of excited for it. 'Cause I live within the area too. I don't mind. Read away. You know,
yeah. Look, if it's one step closer to catching somebody, great.
Yeah, if it limits even just a small percentage, crime out here, especially with break-ins into homes, I mean, they've been up. Not gonna lie, not gonna sugarcoat it. So anything to bring that number down, I'll take.
100%. And then just speaking of break-ins, first-time buyers or any general home buyer, if you're thinking of buying a home, you know, the further you're into a community or a neighborhood, the odds of your home getting broken into are less. So, think of it this way. From the main street to your house, if it's already a 5-minute drive from that main street to that house, it's that same 5-minute drive from that house to the main street. So, everyone has Ring, everyone, a lot of people are putting in more security systems. So the longer it takes for someone to get out of the neighborhood and away, the less likely the percentages of, your home being broken into will go down.
Yeah, funny enough, I was at a community meeting the other night, and they were LAPD, John Lee, they were all there, and that's exactly right. Those are always the same. Like, unfortunately, yeah, the houses that are closer to highways, major streets, you're most likely going to get hit because, yeah, it's easy in and out for them. Yeah, the more inland you are, the more difficult it is for them to get out, potential ways for them to get lost, whatever. They want to avoid that. So just keep that in mind. We're not deterring anybody, but that's just the stats.
And that is why you'll see, homes in the same neighborhood, but at the, at a intersection or deeper in the neighborhood have completely different prices, even if they're the same spec home. You're going to see a slight price difference because, look, you have an incurable defect in being right on the street, right at that corner, closer to whatever.
Yeah, now it's harder to sell those main street properties. Yep, 100%.
100%. It's hard to sell those main street properties to an end user. I see a lot more of these on major street homes being turned into investment properties, and then some investor buying them and renting them out. So, you turn the home into, a duplex or a triplex, and you then rent out the units because people are always going to look for rent. And, it's, yeah, people will still, not prefer the one on the street as opposed to the neighborhood, but it'll be easier to fill a rental than it is to sell a home on a major street.
Oh, absolutely. Well, that brings me to my next thing. So, about these single family houses that are getting turned into duplex, triplex, ADUs, whatnot.
Mm-hmm.
I hear out here they're getting close to passing some kind of law where the homeowners that make an ADU or split it somehow are going to be able to potentially sell their ADU to another user, and that just kind of, I don't know. I mean, in theory sounds great, but what? Give me your insight on this. It's kind of, I haven't really read too much into it. What have you found out?
So it has passed. It just hasn't been written, into, law just yet, or last I heard about a month ago. But yeah, so you have an ADU, and what you would do is you would set up CCNRs and almost like your own little HOA on your little lot. And you would then sell that ADU like you would any condo. And, but before you do, with the CCNRs, you're going to have to, figure out, is it a lot split? Is it going to be, what usage of the communal, lot are, they subject going to be, to use? It's probably better that you probably fence off, and, create a fence instead of do a lot split, because a lot split is going to be even more troublesome. You can still get a separate address for your ADU without doing a lot split. Um, and it's just, you're buying, look, a condo, you're just buying the space in the community, and
Right.
you pay your property taxes on the purchase price. Just in general, you pay the property taxes on the purchase price of, your unit or your home. You're just not going to have, lot when it comes to a condo. But with an ADU, yeah, you might have like a small little backyard. I think, I don't know how many people at the end of the day will do it. If I'm gonna spend the money to create an ADU, I'll rent out the ADU, and then I'll sell the whole property as a whole.
Well, my question actually is for the developer end, right? If they do that, would that help the developer sell it maybe easier? Because instead of like maybe, and I'm talking relatively out here in our area, like a single family with an ADU kind of goes somewhere in the $1 million range, right?
At least.
And then now that you have, let's say, you can sell the ADU and the house separately, maybe your prices go down a little bit from like the main house goes to like just round number 800,000. your ADU another 300,000. Not saying those are the numbers, but again, like something like that, wouldn't it get you a more pool of buyers? In my
You
opinion,
know, it would potentially open the buyer pool more, but then you also have to understand, how many of those buyers are going to be okay with, again, sharing the lot. If you're gonna buy the single family home, what lot am I getting with this, and then am I paying taxes and you know other utilities based off that ADU, because doing usually what people do with their ADUs is they just do a separate gas and electric meter, and the water is the same. So you're going to be looking at what another water line, another thing, more expenses for the developer to create a completely separate water line, gas, electric, sewer. Are you connecting the sewer to the main house, or are you going to create a whole new sewer line to the city for the ADU?
got it.
Sell that separately. So again, you have to look at these. Again, it's these under the hood details that you have to think about. Of as a buyer, if you're going to be buying the single family home separate from that ADU, who's going to buy that ADU, who's living there, and then my utilities and my taxes and all that, am I going to be tied to that person forever too?
Well, I'm interested in it.
As opposed to a condo or a townhome, you automatically know, okay, yes, exactly what's covered by HOA. This is common living and such and such. Look, there will always be people who see something, they can afford it, they'll buy it. But to the mass public, it's those other questions you have to ask.
I just feel like there's slowly. I don't think some our buyers out here are gonna have a choice.
No, they aren't. And then LA is very limited on housing. So
Either
yes,
that or they get priced
it's
out. That's what it is.
they get priced out is to create more housing. But then some of these neighborhoods, we'll see if they try and fight back later just because of the density.
Yeah, right too. Yeah.
These homes in the valley, they were created because you didn't want to live directly in the city on top of each other. And yes, you
Oh,
have a short housing, and yes, the city's trying to make it possible for more housing and potentially more affordable homes for people. But these neighborhoods that these neighborhoods where the ADUs are going to happen and get sold, they're going to be overpopulated, and then you have the Sherman Oaks, Encino areas south of Boulevard, where you're not going to have these ADUs. Those prices are going to become even more astronomical because those homes actually come with more, we'll say, privacy and elbow room.
well, actually, like yeah, I've thought about that a lot. Yeah, the valley especially is not created high density like you said, and then they're especially with like the Rams coming and stuff like that. They've been building a lot of high rise apartments, whatnot. So it's now becoming high density. So I don't see it to be the best mix in the future, but I guess we'll wait and see.
No, we will, and then the higher the density, the higher the transient population that grows with it.
Yeah, that's what I think as well. So we will see if how the neighborhoods will start
So, so
replying.
like so like I said, if you're an end user and you want to, get in on the ground floor, go into those neighborhoods, West Hills, Winnetka, Lake Balboa, you're still getting some homes at or a little below that $1 million range.
Right.
And secure it if you want that, that American dream, white picket fence, neighborhood feel. Go out and do it before all the investors come in and increase
Price the average person out, right?
price the average person out,
Yeah.
and make it more dense with the amount of units in the property.
Yeah. And then if you do as a developer, if you're doing this, make sure you have your property surveys done, so everything is uh, documented like to the T. Have lawyers involved, your engineers, so everything is mapped out, so you don't have any problems, lawsuits down the line.
Yes, no, yeah, you want to get that lot line so that way you don't have any of those disputes later on. And investors, I mean, look, I love, I've worked with investors, I still work with investors, I help them find properties, fix them up and make them, you know, they do the job that a lot of the mass public's not going to do, and rehabbing a home, and it's great. And yeah, they're gonna, they want their, to get a little of the profit from it, and that's all good. We're in a capitalistic, country where do make the money where you can make the money, and if they're doing a service to all the people who don't want to do the work, so understand that too, buyers.
Interesting. Okay. And uh, tell me a little bit about Jacob. So you don't. So again, let's recap a little bit about
Yeah.
this year's. This year and the next 5 years. What are your like? What are you hearing in your industry? Like, what are you guys hearing? Like, I mean, everyone says there's the impending recession coming right now. Like, there's mixed reviews everywhere, right? But give me something like you guys hear in your office every day. You guys are in the industry. You guys hear it day to day. Your bosses tell you. Like, give us a little scoop.
A little scoop is like, look, unless there's a massive wave of unemployment, we're not going to have a recession. And when it comes to the LA market, as expensive and limited as it may be, it's never going to die down. People are always going to move here, whether it's, Hollywood or, a new lawyer or whatever. We're going to have people moving here, whether I'd say, you know, just take care of your assets. In the next 5 years, who knows? The profession might be a bit different. We had this lawsuit in the middle of the country about commissions. Um, Look, their contract is a lot different than the California real estate contract, where it does spell out exactly how the commission is split and what you're offering. So there are a little bit of differences between the Missouri case and here. uh but I'd say, look, people, there are always going to be changes in the system. There's going to be a lot more influence through social media and tech, I'd say. um and realistically, it's going to be the people who can you know survive through a potential rough period and continue working, because there was a survey, about 20% of realtors have already not renewed their licenses in the last like 2 years. Again, the old joke, realtors, they don't retire, they just die.
Mm-hmm.
There's a mix of those. There are a few people in our office who are in their later years still working because they've created all those relationships.
Well,
Real estate will always move. I don't see it going hugely in an up or downturn unless we have some catastrophe. And even with COVID, with the catastrophe, we saw prices go up, interest rates came down to boost the economy after that. So I don't see much changing, but again, I'm no psychic.
well, do you have any advice for any new realtors coming into the industry?
Um, any new realtors who are going to come into the industry, make sure you have some extra reserves, because you never know when your first sale is going to come. I'd say if you're going to do it on your own, think really hard about that, because you're going to be green. All these people, a real estate transaction is the one, two, three most expensive transactions, purchases, whatever, in a person's life. if if you make one mistake or one misstep speaking, um,
Nice firework, Jacob.
okay, I came to the right, moment. Listen, boom, big transaction. If you make one mistake, you gotta listen to me here. You want someone backing you. So, honestly, you might want to get a team member, get a mentor, make sure, you're covered in a sense to, you know, protect your client. We are in a service industry. You're not gonna be there for your client and you're just in this for the money, you
Yeah.
know, you know, don't do this because you're going to be up 11 p.m. talking to your client. You're going to be up at 6 o'clock in the morning. Dealing with God knows what surprise that may come up in a transaction. This isn't your normal 9 to 5 job. If you want that 9 to 5 job, which I did not want, and the secure paycheck, go for it. But I'm here to work for my clients first, and then get the paycheck.
Nice, man. Well, before we sign off, tell me, do you have any fun, embarrassing, or any kind of fun stories you want to share with us that you've encountered in your journey?
Oh, yes, yes, yes. People, sorry for the not as pleasant story on this one, but I've walked through some homes here, and there was this one abandoned investment property down near USC that I was checking out with a buyer, and you walk in. You walk in through like a little living area, and then you go right into the kitchen, and then just standing on top of the fridge, right there in plain sight, someone left behind their dildo.
What? Like on the fridge?
On top of the fridge. And I mean, it was about like yay big. Like it was,
So was
it
this
was,
house empty?
oh, it was completely emptied. It was, the tenants had
Dildo
left,
on the fridge. Oh, so
the
there was
tenants,
somebody like using this house.
maybe it would have been on some back alley site. Who knows? But, I've come across just a dildo in plain speak. Actually, I've even done a showing where it was an elderly woman still living in the home, and and I'm there with my young clients, and prominent on the table where we're walking through again, dildo number two.
So any sellers listening to this, keep your dildos out, please.
Oh,
Put them away.
and ultra duty
Let's keep
vibrators
all
because
personal stuff
she had
hidden.
to. So please, yeah, sellers. One, if you're gonna sell a home and you're gonna be present at the showings, yes, hide all your personals or your very delicate personals. Um, those are just two of the nasty, funny things that I've come across uh, while showing property. It's sometimes you kind of just shake your head, but
Oh, actually, I'm curious, dude. What are your buyers, your potential buyers? What do they do? They like you guys just continue with the thing? Or are you guys more grossed out? Like, all right, let's leave. Like, what happens?
well, with the young couple, the townhome we were looking at, we, I kept it to myself. I didn't point it out. And then, when we got upstairs, I was like, "Did you see that quietly?" And they're like, "Oh yeah, let's get out of here." So we look, if she was there, so we were nice about it and walked out, nicely, calmly. Said thank you. The one at the triplex, with those investors, and it was empty. We just kept cracking jokes.
Yeah, I mean, no, if it's empty, it's probably his for
you
investments.
you
But
know, we'll write the offer and we'll say, dildo to be included. So don't worry, you can have it.
be included. I would ask for it to be removed. Oh God, that's funny. All right, well that's good. Well,
Yeah.
Jacob, thank you for being on our show today. Thank you for all your insights.
Thank you.
Yes, yes, we'll definitely be checking back in with Jacob, guys. If you need a local realtor, especially in the LA area, please reach out to Jacob Diamond. I've heard nothing but good things.
Yep. My number is 818 451-8539. That's the easiest way to get a hold of me.
And this is Relli, guys. We are going to be your real estate exchange, Robin Hood of real estate. So get ready. Second quarter, we will be launching. You can invest in your own slice of real estate. We're trying to bring down the barrier of entry for real estate. So it's going to be kind of cool. And we're partnering up with different real estate professionals like Jacob. Well, thanks again, Jacob. Have a good one.
For having me. Have a good one.